Hi everyone! In this video we will factor a trinomial with a equals 1. Factor x squared plus 13x plus 42. This trinomial follows the pattern of a equals 1 because the number in front of the x is a 1, because 1 times x squared is x squared. Now to factor a trinomial, we are looking for two binomials that when we multiply them together will end up with a trinomial. And to do this, we take our last term, which is c, and we find all of the factors of c that can add to give us b. So let's take 42 and find all of our factors. 42, and I always start with 1. 1 times 42 is 42. 2 also goes into it, 21 times. 3 goes into 42, 14 times. And 6 goes into 42, 7 times. I know I can stop now looking for factors because the next factor is 7. 7 times 6 is 42, so I start going backwards down my list that I already started. Now we need to look at the signs. This last term is positive, and that's the one we need to look at first. That tells us that the signs of our factors over here will be the same. And we don't know what they are yet, but they'll either be positive or both negative. So we look to our other sign, and because this is positive, that tells us that they will all be positive. Again, this being positive tells us that the signs of the factors will be the same. And this sign tells us what those same are, and they will both be positive. If this last term were a negative, then the signs would be different. In this case, we don't need to worry about that. So let's go ahead and give all of our factors a positive sign because we know that they will be the same. Now we're looking for a pair of these factors that will add together and give us 13, this middle term. If I add these two, I get 43. If I add these two, I get 23. If I add these two, I get 17. And if I add these two, I get positive 13. So that tells me that I have now found my factors that will replace the middle term. So instead of it being x squared plus 13x, we can rewrite this as x squared plus 6x plus 7x plus 42, using the two factors that we found to replace the 13 to be 6x plus 7x. Now that we have it rewritten as a polynomial with 4 terms, we can factor by grouping like we did previously. So we group our first 2 terms and our second 2 terms and look for the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor between the first 2 is x. So we'll pull out the x and we have x plus 6 remaining, meaning that we divided both the first and the second term by x. And the greatest common factor with the next 2 is a positive 7. So we'll factor out a positive 7. And what's left inside the parentheses are x plus 6. Now that we've factored out a greatest common factor for the first 2 and the second 2, we have 2 very large terms that have another common factor. And that common factor is the binomial x plus 6, as we can see it in both this one and this one. And if we factor it out, we're left with x in the first one and plus 7 in the second one. Now we have correctly factored our trinomial with the form of a equals 1. We can check this too by doing FOIL, first, outside, inside, last, just to make sure that we did it correctly. X plus 6 times x plus 7. The first times the first gives us x squared. The outside, x plus times positive 7 is plus 7x. The inside, positive 6 times x is plus 6x. And the last is 6 times 7, which is positive 42. Then we can combine like terms, which gives us x squared plus 13x plus 42, which matches the original, which tells us that we did indeed correctly factor the trinomial into 2 binomials of x plus 6 and times x plus 7. And we're all done.